Hello and welcome everyone. Welcome to our webinar. My name is Maximilian and today we're going to talk about CentOS 8 replacements. So we're going to talk about CentOS 8 alternatives and answer the question, which distribution will be your successor in your IT environment? I'm here with my colleague Inga. Feel free to ask questions in chat. She'll monitor chat and then we can answer the question if she interrupts me, or we can discuss this at the end of the webinar. Let's jump right in. This is our agenda for today. So first, I want to introduce where I work. I work at ATIX, and then we're going to talk about CentOS 8. We're going to talk about CentOS Stream 8 and CentOS 8 alternatives. And in the end, I will give a quick summary. And then we can have a look at orcharhino software product from ATIX and have a look at managing Errata, especially for CentOS 8 alternatives. So ATIX, where do I work? For everybody that does not know us, I will quickly introduce ATIX AG. We are an IT service provider in the field of infrastructure. We focus on Linux in the data center. And we love open source software. We love open standards and automation. And we can deliver customized Linux and open source solutions for your business success. We offer consulting. Consulting is everything related to IT automation and data center infrastructure. And our consultants will help you expand your existing IT infrastructure from planning to implementation. We also offer support. So in times of need, for example, if you want to migrate or upgrade an application. Trainings. The latest addition to our trainings is Git. So the course ranges from getting started with Git to version control code, to branching strategies, and to advanced workflows to collaborate with your colleagues. And me personally, I am part of the engineering department. We develop orcharhino. That means we closely work with the community and open source projects, and we focus on stabilizing our product. We run extensive tests, and we ensure compatibility. Me personally, I'm mostly concerned with documentation because I'm a technical content creator. So I create content, for example, for our website, or for the ATIX service portal. Then moving on to CentOS 8. So what is CentOS 8? It's a downstream product of RHEL. That means the CentOS project takes sources from Red Hat once RHEL is published and rebuilds those software packages and publishes them under the CentOS project and CentOS banner. So for example, due to legal reasons, they remove all Red Hat branding. That means once Red Hat publishes RHEL 8, the CentOS project takes those sources and can then afterwards publish CentOS Linux 8. That includes a bug and binary compatibility. What does that mean? That means if your application is certified to run on RHEL 8, it also runs on CentOS Linux 8. And it also means you most likely, in good and in bad, experience the same bugs on CentOS 8 that you also experience on RHEL 8. CentOS, the project and distribution, was initially released and created in 2004. And then after 10 years, it joined Red Hat. And why are we talking about this today? So in the past, Red Hat announced plans to shift focus from CentOS Linux 8 to CentOS Stream starting in January. So literally in 3 weeks. And the goal is to bundle developing resources and push the development of CentOS 8 Stream. Here is a graphic. So I think everybody knows a little bit about EL7 or CentOS 7 or RHEL 7. So we have Fedora as our upstream source. In this case, Fedora 19 was the base for RHEL 7. And once this was stabilized by Red Hat, they released RHEL 7. And built on base of the RHEL 7 sources, the CentOS project published CentOS 7, as did Oracle with Oracle Linux 7. And developers and sysadmins alike liked CentOS 7 and still like CentOS 7 for its stability and for its bug and binary compatibility with RHEL 7. And some of these expectations were basically carried over to EL8. So we can have a look at CentOS 8 Linux. But this chart is basically only valid until the end of this year, until the end of December. So we have Fedora. In this case, it's Fedora 28 that was the base for RHEL 8. Fedora, Red Hat took the source from Fedora, stabilized it, and built RHEL 8. And based on RHEL 8, there are different downstream products. So as we saw before, CentOS Linux 8 and Oracle Linux 8. And in this graphic, we also already see two alternatives. One is Alma Linux 8, and the other would be Rocky Linux 8. And last but not least, a graphic regarding CentOS 8 in the future. So starting January 2022, we have Fedora as still the upstream source. And then in between Fedora and RHEL 8, we have CentOS 8 Stream, meaning CentOS moved from being a downstream product of RHEL to being the upstream product of RHEL. That means once CentOS 8 Stream is published, and we later on see it's a rolling release model, so there's no minor releases, but it's one release with a continuous stream of software. At a certain point of time, Red Hat takes those sources, stabilizes it, and then builds RHEL 8. And again, we have the three remaining downstream products: Oracle Linux 8, Alma Linux 8, and Rocky Linux 8. So let's talk about CentOS 8 Stream. As we saw, it's located between Fedora and RHEL. So you can kind of assume that CentOS 8 Stream is now what the next minor version of RHEL will look like in the future. But since CentOS Stream does not actually have minor versions, you cannot exactly make this comparison. That means CentOS 8 Stream will no longer be bug and binary compatible with RHEL anymore. This is due to the rolling release model. That means CentOS Stream users will receive a continuous stream of updates and of software packages. In contrast to EL7, CentOS 8 Stream will be supported for 5 years, and it'll be end of life in May 2024, whereas EL7 was supported for 10 years. So then let's have a look at CentOS 8 alternatives. You are, well, most likely using CentOS due to its bug and binary compatibility with RHEL and because of its stability. And if you look for an alternative, it should be as reliable and as stable as CentOS 7 was. So I think one dimension that you have to take in consideration when you talk about CentOS 8 alternatives is definitely reliability. The other one might be commercial support, but if you were using CentOS 7 in the past, maybe commercial support is not something that you're actually looking for. Then Errata. So officially, there were no Errata for CentOS 7, But ATIX, the company I work for, we provide a CentOS 7 Errata service. So our customers can get Errata, meaning security patches from us for CentOS 7. This is maybe also something that you might look for in your CentOS 8 alternative. And if you're not strictly bound to the RHEL and Enterprise Linux universe, you might consider something like OpenSUSE or Debian. Then you have to think about package formats and package management in general. I did a quick search on DistroWatch. So there's currently 11 active RHEL downstream products and 6 active CentOS downstream products. And these downstream products, they can further be categorized categorized in their delay. So for example, the delay between RHEL publishing a minor version, so for example, 8.2, how many days afterwards does Oracle, for example, publish Oracle Linux 8.2? Or not just minor versions, but also Errata is another point to be considered regarding the delay between upstream and downstream. So let's jump right in. I think there is many EL8 alternatives. I've not listed them all. So there's more alternatives such as EuroLinux, VSAT Linux, and Navy Linux. But I've picked a couple and I've ordered them alphabetically. So let's start with Alma Linux 8. As we saw in the charts before, it is bug and binary compatible with RHEL 8 because, as we saw, it is built upon the RHEL 8 sources. It is maintained and created by the Alma Linux OS Foundation, and it's supported by Cloud Linux Inc., who offer commercial support. They also offer a commercial Red Hat Enterprise Linux clone called Cloud Linux OS, and there's even more support. So, for example, from TuxCare. The distribution got quite popular already, and it's backed by various organizations such as Microsoft, Amazon, so on AWS, ARM, and Chef. They provide packages and images for you to download for the architectures AMD 64 and ARM 64. Moving on to Oracle Linux. So this is almost, so basically not binary and bug compatible with RHEL 8. It's rather considered to be a Red Hat Enterprise Linux with additional features. So for example, Oracle provide the so-called unbreakable enterprise kernel, and they provide K-splice kernel updates. So you can have a look at our orcharhino documentation, how to update and patch your hosts running Oracle Linux and their Linux kernel without any downtime, which is an Oracle Linux specific feature. All Oracle Linux distributions are obviously optimized for Oracle products. So for example, their databases. And in regards to subscription prices, they are considered to be cheaper compared to the subscriptions from Red Hat. History-wise, Oracle has provided a Red Hat Enterprise Linux downstream product since 2006, and it's free since 2012. It is free to download, and there are free updates. They provide packages and images as the Alma Linux for AMD 64 and ARM 64. One thing to consider or to mention is maybe the sometimes troubled relationship between Oracle and open source products. So if you think about Java, MySQL, or OpenOffice, it hasn't always been the best. But regarding Oracle Linux, they definitely have a very strong proven track record in providing a free Red Hat Enterprise Linux clone. And on this chart, we can see another advantage. So on the x-axis, you can see different security advisories for the Linux kernel. And on the y-axis, you can see the delay in days between Oracle releasing a errata for a security advisory and CentOS. So basically, whenever CentOS does it on the same day or a day afterwards, yeah, Oracle does that too. But sometimes it takes these CentOS projects weeks, 2, sometimes even 3 weeks to release updated packages, which I think is a good argument for using Oracle Linux if you're concerned about the security errata. Moving on, I think Red Hat Enterprise Linux might be surprising in this list of CentOS 8 alternatives, but it's also kind of the obvious choice because, yeah, there is a new program from Red Hat. It's called the Red Hat Developer Subscription, and you can get it for individuals and for teams. So, for example, for individuals, you can get, after registering your account at Red Hat, 16 subscriptions for free, and Red Hat allows you to run those hosts in production, so not just for testing. You have to renew your subscription each year, and there is no commercial support. So this offering is basically designed for small communities, personal servers, home labs, yeah, and open source communities in general. They provide images and packages for AMD 64, ARM 64, as well as PowerPC. And then there's the Red Hat Developer Subscription for Teams. They provide you with up to 25,000 subscriptions for 25,000 hosts, but they are limited to your development environment. So you are not allowed to run those in production, and they're only available on demand when you contact your sales associate. Then coming to the second and very promising alternative, Rocky Linux 8. So it's a bit similar to Alma Linux. It is, as we saw on the graphic, it is bug and binary compatible with RHEL 8 because the Rocky Enterprise Software Foundation, who maintain and provide the Rocky Linux distribution, they also take the sources from Red Hat and rebuild the RPM packages and yeah, provide them to you. So you can download it for free, and the updates are also freely available. The distribution and the project has been created by the original CentOS founder, Gregory Kurtzer. And he is also the CEO of a company called CIQ, and they offer commercial support for Rocky Linux 8. As is Alma Linux, Rocky Linux is also backed by various organizations, in this case, for example, Microsoft, Amazon, again, ARM, and Google. And they currently provide images and packages for AMD 64 and ARM 64. Something that, as far as I'm concerned, Alma does not offer right now is support for secure boot, which is, yeah, kind of unique for Rocky Linux. There are many alternatives, as we've already seen, and there's much more if you, for example, look at DistroWatch. But I also want to showcase 2 other alternatives that are not RHEL downstream products. So let's jump right in. SUSE Linux Enterprise Server, SLES. SLES is not based on RHEL. It uses the same RPM packages, but it uses Zypper for package management. and it's not a downstream product of Red Hat Enterprise Linux, but rather OpenSUSE. You can download SLAS, so normal images, packages, and also container images for free. But if you want to receive update or support, then you will require an official SUSE subscription. And there is obviously, as the name suggests, commercial support available from SUSE. OpenSUSE, however, is a very, very active project and has a lot of community participation, from which SLAS then in return profits. For SLAS, there are usually yearly service pack upgrades, and you have 6 months additional time to migrate from one service pack to another. And another, maybe not so obvious, yet very intriguing choice is Ubuntu. So again, this is not a downstream product of Red Hat Enterprise Linux. It uses Debian packages and apt for package management. And instead, it's a downstream product of Debian Unstable. So you can freely download Ubuntu images, packages, updates. And they are maintained by volunteers and the company Canonical. It is also a very active project with a lot of community participation, and they release so-called LTS, or long-term support versions, every 2 years. So the most recent one is Ubuntu 2004, it's codename Focal, and soon in 4 months, basically, they will release Ubuntu 2204 Jammy Jellyfish. And those long-term support versions will receive 5 years of updates and security maintenance. And afterwards, you can get an additional 5 years of extended security maintenance support from Canonical, who also offers commercial support for that. In case you're interested in managing hosts running Ubuntu, for example, 1604 or 1404, you can go to our orcharhino documentation and find out how to manage those extended security, or ESM for short, packages and repositories using orcharhino. So, a lot of alternatives, but you basically only want to switch to one. So this is basically the question: how are you going to switch, and to which distribution? There are, I think, 2 other interesting aspects in migrating or switching. So both Alma Linux and Rocky Linux, they offer scripts to convert a EL8 host to their respective distribution. So for example, Alma Linux offers a script to convert CentOS 8 to Alma Linux, and Rocky Linux offers a script to convert CentOS 8 to Rocky Linux 8. And there is a very interesting product that I've not yet had the chance to have my hands on, but it's very promising. It's called the Elevate project, Elevate, for Enterprise Linux. So this will allow you to migrate from EL7 to EL8. So for example, from CentOS 7 to Alma Linux 8. Maybe after the webinar, if somebody already used this, maybe you can share your experience. We can discuss this for a little bit. To the summary. So in summary, there's the Red Hat Developer Program. I think it's excellent for home usage. However, it does not really scale up, especially if you want to run hosts in production. Then there is the CentOS 8 Stream alternative. Basically, CentOS Stream is what the CentOS project and Red Hat is now focusing on. So it's mainly intended for fast-moving environments. It has a rolling release model, but it is not really bleeding edge. So if you are actually looking for bleeding edge, you should maybe have a look at the Fedora distribution. So CentOS Stream is always based on certain Fedora releases, as we saw, and stabilizes upon them. Then we have, I think, in one category, as of right now, Alma Linux 8 and Rocky Linux 8. In my opinion, they are both very promising, yet they have an unproven reliability. They don't really have a track record yet. We don't see how things will go. There is a company, for example, for Alma Linux, that promises to provide or sponsor $1 million each year. But so far, it's a promise and they're doing this, but it's not proven yet. And if you think about running hundreds or thousands of hosts in production, maybe you want to select something that is a little bit more mature, like project-wise. So, for example, Oracle Linux 8. As we've seen, it is reliable. It has a proven track record of over 15 years so far, and it provides fast updates and security errata. And to be honest, one of my personal favorites, but yeah, not everybody's choice, might be Ubuntu or SUSE. So if you do not depend on compatibility to RHEL, if your software provider does not explicitly require you to run RHEL, then have a look at Ubuntu and SUSE. Okay, I think we're through with the CentOS 8 alternatives. So now we can have a quick look at orcharhino, what it is, what it does, and how you can manage CentOS 8 alternatives using orcharhino. So orcharhino is a complete lifecycle management tool. You can administer your IT infrastructure and data center using orcharhino. And I want to show you actually those three aspects in more detail, but my colleague will now post a link in chat with a more detailed orcharhino fact sheet. So if you're interested, you can get a more detailed overview. These three key features, yeah, let's talk about them quickly. But to orcharhino, there's so much more. There's so many more features, as well as orcharhino plugins. So just one example, the OpenSCAP plugin or the Foreman SCC Manager plugin. So host provisioning. Orcharhino allows you to provision hosts. You can deploy hosts on bare metal, or you can deploy them to cloud providers. So for example, Google Cloud or Microsoft Azure or AWS, or you can, what most users do, you can run VMware or Proxmox in your environment. Then configuration management. So orcharhino is vendor independent. That means we support multiple configuration management solutions. In our case, this is Ansible, Puppet, and Solve. So if you are already using, for example, a Puppet control node or Salt control node, you can integrate this into your infrastructure with orcharhino. These solutions basically allow you to configure your hosts and install software, for example, or ensure certain configuration is available in a certain way. And last but not least, content management. So orcharhino, again, it's vendor neutral. So we support more than one Linux distribution. We also support deploying hosts that run Windows. But content management, we mostly focus on Linux distributions. So for example, Debian and Ubuntu, SUSE, so SLES, and Red Hat Enterprise Linux, as well as all the EL derivatives and clones that I've mentioned so far. And now I think let's jump to the one of the aspects I want to highlight today, which is Errata. So Errata means packages that have, for example, security vulnerabilities. There is information that a certain package is affected, and the information also contains which newer version of that package you need to install to mitigate, to resolve this security issue. So the list is alphabetically ordered, but you can basically summarize this as in Alma Linux, Oracle Linux, Red Hat Enterprise Linux, Rocky Linux, and SUSE Linux Enterprise Server. They all provide Errata within their YUM repositories. Then there is, for example, CentOS 8, which simply does not offer any Errata at all. But as mentioned before, there is an Errata service for CentOS 7 available by ATIX. And the same goes for Debian 9, 10, and 11, as well as Ubuntu 18.04 and 20.04. So for these Debian and Ubuntu distributions, ATIX provides you with security Errata. And for Alma Linux and Rocky Linux, they are part of the YUM repositories. So a quick orcharhino demo. We want to install Errata on a host that is running Alma Linux 8 or Rocky Linux 8. So I will end sharing this presentation in a second. If you have any further questions, if you want to ask anything else, have any idea, comment, suggestion, feel free to write me at kolb@atix.de. Or if you want to read up on this webinar some more, have a look at our ATIX blog. It's atix.de/en/CentOS-8-alternatives. And now I will move on to the orcharhino demo. So right here, we are on our orcharhino demo instance. So as I've mentioned before, you can synchronize and import content into orcharhino that you want to distribute to hosts. And you can also deploy new hosts and serve content to new hosts, or you can configure them, for example, using Puppet, Ansible, or Salt. Right now, we want to apply security Errata to a host. So we go to Content and Errata. This will show us a list of Errata. It's rather long, so we're gonna filter this by repository. You can see some repositories are applicable and some are installable. What does that mean? If a erratum is applicable but not installable, that means the package that contains the fix for the security issue is not yet part of the content that is available for the managed hosts. Because with orcharhino, you obviously version your content. So not every host gets all the content that you synchronize to orcharhino, but you explicitly specify which content is made available to which host at which point of time. So yeah, we've selected a repository, and now we're gonna filter by applicable errata. So for example, we can select these 2, 3 errata, just as an example. They are all applicable, but not installable. Installable would mean the host already has access to this content. So what do? Well, we can simply provide an updated content version made available to the managed host. So we're gonna click Apply Errata. We're gonna select a host. In this case, it's a host running Alma Linux 8. And by doing so, we ensure that we create a new content view that contains the fix and the errata for the mentioned errata. Oh. I've just been informed that my demo is not visible. That is very sad. Let me share my screen once more, and we can simply redo this. So, okay, right now we're in the process of already patching a host, but let's have a look at if there's more errata that we can install on a host. So once again, can you see my screen now? Yeah. Okay, awesome. So sorry for this. Once again, I'm on the content errata page, and we've filtered for a repository, and now we select all applicable errata. Again, applicable means the errata is relevant for a package, but the content host does not yet have access to that package. And we certainly do not want to do this by hand, but we want to do it in an automated way because we love automation. So again, I've selected 3 erratum in this list. They are all applicable but not installable. So we will first have to provide this these errata for our hosts. And what orcharhino will do right now, we will simply create a new version of content made available to this host. So it'll contain all the content that was already available, all the content that I published just a couple of minutes ago, where you sadly could not see my demo, and including the 3 fixes that we included right now. So I'm going to click confirm, and we can just jump to this one. So this is already running. So I've ticked the box to not only make the content available, but once it's available, also automatically install the software updates. That is a very convenient and most importantly, secure way in providing new content to hosts. And I think that is it for the moment from my side. So thank you very much, everybody, for joining us today. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us or to me at any point of time. I hope you enjoyed it. And I'm going to ask my colleague if there are any questions right now. Okay, so we have 2 comments. So I will have to figure out how to. So sorry, how do I find the comments? Okay. Okay. So thanks for the comments. Yeah, unfortunately, I did not share the browser where I was presenting the demo. Yeah, it was still showing the presentation in the webcast. I'm very, very sorry for this. Regarding the Elevate project, so one person mentioned that it works great, but it does not support encrypted disk. This is interesting. So can you elaborate? So are you using like encrypted LVM, for example? Or how did you mitigate this? Did you decide that the Elevate project was not something that is good enough right now, or did you somehow find a workaround? That would be interesting if you want to share. And we have some more links and text in chat. So alternatives to CentOS is more OpenSUSE Leap, not slash. Yes, technically, if you're looking for an alternative for CentOS 8 stream, then the Leap project I think would be more applicable, because to my understanding, it is also a rolling release model, meaning you will get a continuous stream of content. Okay. If there are no further questions as of right now, then once again, thank you very much for joining us today, and have a good day.